Hey guys, it's Malls. Thanks so much for listening to Please Advise. Just a quick message before the show. Don't forget to subscribe in iTunes. It's super helpful for us and super helpful for you. You can also call 323-450-7408 to get your calls on the show. Again, 323-450-7408. Or email askpleaseadvise@gmail.com with your voice notes or emails. Thanks so much. Hey guys, it's episode 153 of Please Advise. I'm really excited to be back because last episode we got to record with Ed, and I wanted to make this like easy on me and also bring back some of the people you guys love. So I'm here with my friend Stacey Jones. Hi.
Hi.
You look so skinny. I'm not worried about you, but I'm like very impressed.
Thank you. I weighed this much the last time I saw you, but I don't really wear clothes that show my body.
So then there's that. So that I agree. Like whenever I wear like a form-fitting outfit, people are like, Molly. And I'm like, I'm literally a size 4. I wear drapey clothes. Like,
yeah, I mean,
I think anything you do outside the norm always elicits like a big response from people sometimes, and it makes you feel so uncomfortable, or at least it makes me feel so uncomfortable being like, I can
when it's
do
my
other
body sometimes.
I'm like, I can do other things with my like look for appropriate situations. Like I'm not gonna come into work dressed to the nines, so yeah, I'm gonna like up it a little bit for the holiday party.
Right.
Why are you acting so surprised?
Well, what will shock me is like Christina literally like chopped off like a foot of hair. And like it was a really nice surprise. Not recently, but it was like, it's also, by the way, her hair grows so insanely fast. Like if I had cut my hair into a bob, like she had her hair in like a full blown bob like a year ago. My hair would not be there already.
I've been growing this for like 3 years. This is all I got.
I've been growing my hair for like 7 years, I think.
I cut it up to here in October, and now it's like pretty like far down a little bit more.
Yeah, it's like at her boobs already again, which is crazy. So when I saw Christina when it came in and like you had a bob, like first of all, I was impressed because most girls cycle that through their entire friend group. Like they don't go in and get a big cut like that unless the entire friend group is like co-signed and they like the style or whatever. I will just change my hair. Like I literally was on my way to the hair salon. I was like, I think I'm gonna dye my hair blue, and then I like texted my hairdresser. I was like, can you go pick up some blue hair dye? Like it was literally happened like that. But yeah, like I've been on a whole like hair program. But anyway, point is that you will like really change your look.
Yeah.
And like that always is going to elicit a big reaction. But I do remember like the first time I like went platinum, like fully platinum a few years back, when I walked in the room at Two Broke Girls, like I wanted everyone to shut the fuck up. Like, and my coworker was like, you can't walk in here with like a completely drastically different, like you can't have the other end of the spectrum on your head and not expect anyone to say anything. And I'm like, I also didn't do it for like a conversation, but like, you know, but I think that environment like hinged a lot on like looks anyway. So that was probably why I was extra sensitive about it. But I mean, anyone can tell me I've lost weight anytime. That makes me feel good.
Yeah, I mean, I won't say I have lost weight. It hasn't really been a conscious thing.
Yeah.
And no lie, I mean, I was like kind of a twig my whole life until like my like early 30s. I started to gain. But people tell me I'm skinny. You know, I don't hate that.
No, it feels good. I mean, unless you know you've been starving yourself and you're like, no, I'm actually really fucking unhealthy.
Or
like
you've had terrible anxiety and just haven't been eating like at all.
Yeah. I mean, I
wish I had that.
I like those. I like you. I know you and I are the same where I think that I just will like starve. But Christina, most people I know are more like you where they're like, oh my God, like I want to stress eat or something.
I can't put anything in my body. If I have anxiety, which I have very high grade anxiety sometimes, it's situational. Like, you know, my story of like last summer was, you know, not bueno, but you know, it wasn't. It doesn't even occur to me to eat. Listeners, do not advise. I'm not like trying to advocate for like ED here.
No, and I also know too that I can be flippant about this subject because like I've had the range of that stuff. And so like if it ever sounds like flippant, it's not like get an Adderall prescription and abuse it. Like
we've talked about it on the I think the last time I was on, we talked about this. It was about This American Life episode, Tell Me I'm Fat with Lindy West, and we had like a protracted conversation about it. I actually listened to the last episode. I've been doing this like super top secret project at work, not to totally derail the conversation, but I've been learning a lot about like radio journalism and journalism created for listening. And it's very different. And so I've been trying to catch myself in the way that I say things and the way that I'm not a journalist, but I work at a media company. So like not just the way that I say things, but also the way that I say things as a woman.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I implicitly kind of apologize or give deference to people in a room, and I'm trying not to do that. So I have I've laid out some guidelines for myself today on the show.
It's really hard to not apologize. And that's something that like the dude I'm seeing actually pointed out to me the other day. Is like, you apologize too much. He's like, why do you keep apologizing? Which, by the way, was really nice. Like to have like a guy that because most guys like they'll care about you, but they won't realize that you're doing something that's like kind of just like overall questioning your own value all the time.
Yeah.
And like to have him say like, you don't need to do like, you don't apologize. You didn't do anything. Like that was like very nice. But I will say I do really recognize now how much I'm conscious of it now in a different way.
Yeah. I just say things like I think or I believe when I should just say what I think instead of prefacing it. It's like a way of doubting your like the verity or the whatever correctness, or how am I trying to say this? It's almost like I don't really believe it myself when I preface it with something like that. You know,
I've always felt. I felt always that. See, I just did it in my mind. I think the tricky ones are I feel and I believe, because it right away it makes your statement not a fact or like an actual like formed opinion.
Right.
It makes what you're saying like, you know, just
you're not asserting
like,
yourself.
well, this is what I feel, or like, you know, and everyone can argue with a feeling because it's like an ego based, like,
exactly.
You know, whatever.
That's a good point.
And they can say like, I dismiss it because it's a feeling or it's a belief, which is like to some people they're like, that's as silly as like the flying spaghetti monster or whatever. Like, yeah, you believe in that. Like, you know, what does that mean to me?
Right.
What do your beliefs mean?
Don't be afraid to have an opinion, and don't be afraid to assert yourself. Those are my rules.
And by the way, perfect example of a memo that you give other people that like you're constantly trying to improve yourself on. I like relationship advice. It's the same 7 pieces of advice circled over and over again. What were you gonna say? Sorry.
I was just gonna say like, but also like as women, we're just in like we can try to operate the same way that men do and say things the same way that they do. It's just gonna be inherently taken differently.
Received
because we are
differently.
differently.
Yep.
So regardless, even if we try to even it out that way, it's not gonna be received the same way.
Oh, I know. I mean, that's why I had a partnership that I was in for a long time, and anytime that I would talk specifically about work and just about work and like remove other elements like our personal relationship or anything else that was involved, she'd be like, you're terrifying me. And I'd be like, no, we're talking about work right now. And when we're talking about our friendship, like that will be a different tone and conversation. But right now we're discussing work, which is not actually a very emotional thing. It's actually a pretty cut and dry thing. And like getting that emotion too involved in the whole situation is detrimental. Like it really just like cuts everything off. I don't know. But I understand what you're saying. It's very scary to people when like a woman's being direct. Like it's terrifying.
And unapologetic. It's the not being apologetic for what your opinion is.
I've been coached before to be like softer in my approach for things.
Yeah.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Who coached you, a man or a woman?
A woman, actually. Yeah.
I have so many things to say about that.
Yeah, and I kind of like it's like, but it's that tricky thing is like, should I take this note, or is she internalizing something that she's trying to get me to internalize as well,
or telling you what worked for her based on her experience, right? Which is legitimate, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think also in a way it sucks, but like because it just keeps like everything that's wrong alive. But like, what's wrong with playing the game? Like, if that's how you need to talk to someone to get what you need out of them, do it. You know what I mean? And like, that's something that I'm always taking notes on for myself, where it's like, I don't understand this fucking town. I don't understand this business. I don't understand going into something and being like, yeah, I like what you're doing, and then not doing anything. Just say you don't want to do it. Just say, and I understand you have to finesse. It's a politics thing, and there's a whole...
It's diplomacy.
Yeah. It's really... but for me, I've always come from a place of like, don't talk down to me by not addressing something. you know, and that's how I view it. But it is actually, you have to be political. You have to be, every game is different. And I go back and forth on that a lot. Do I want to play the game? Do I want to be right? Like, what do I want to be? What do I win by doing ultimately? What's my end game? I think
that's exactly like, what's the goal? That's exactly right.
And I definitely don't think about that a lot. I see other people do it, like Vanderpump Rules. Sheena's doing that with Rob right now. And I'm like, what's your long term though? Like, I understand what you want us to believe right now, but like, where do you want to be in 5 years, and how can you get yourself there best? Is it by like walking around telling everyone that you're probably going to marry this guy you've been dating 2 months? Probably not. You know what I mean? It's just weird. Anyway, Stacey, what else is new with you?
Started out the year a little more sludgily than I would have liked.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to be more patient with myself. I'm starting to get going now, but it has, you know, you want to come into the new year, titties out, like ready to, and I'm not really a big resolutions person, but there are definitely some things that I'm working on, like professionally and personally with myself. And I think the first 2 weeks that I was back at work, I really just wanted to come home when the sun set and like be in my bed, which is kind of like what I did actually.
Yeah.
And just like use my heating pad and watch
The
Wire, and which I'm still not caught up on. Just got the worst spoiler alert about ever. Thanks, David Simon. It's my own fault for not watching it, you know, in 2008 when it ended.
It is tough to be like, oh, I don't want to like, when I talk about like Breaking Bad, for example, like I'm still like, has everyone watched Breaking Bad? Because I'm like, you know what? It's your fucking fault at this point if you haven't seen it in 17? If you haven't seen it 18, that's your fault. But like,
yeah. Also,
I don't want to ruin Breaking Bad for everyone. It's a great fucking show. What? Did you not like Breaking Bad?
No. Breaking Bad's fine. No, I feel very strongly about people who are very sensitive to spoilers to the point where they will tell a group of people to stop talking about something because they haven't seen it, and it's just like the injustice of that is like just rubs me the wrong way.
See that like in writers' rooms or something where they'll be like, this is a no talking about Star Wars zone or something, and like, look, I actually do. I'll give people like a year, whatever. Like, I'm not going to blame you if you didn't watch last Thursday's episode. Like, it's only Tuesday. Like, you know, you probably have kids or something. But if it's someone who's really like busy or whatever, but like if you're the spoiler person, if you're the person that's going to be spoiled, walk away. Just walk away. Or
the onus is on you not to be spoiled. Don't force everybody else to like not spoil you, because that's just being ridiculously selfish.
Yeah, I call it like the Game of Thrones hysteria, where you're like, okay, get caught up now. It's been on long. Like we know what's gonna happen, even if we don't. You know what I mean?
I straight up had a coworker who asked us not to talk about Game of Thrones because he might watch it someday.
No.
Oh, that's really weird. I will say that before I watched The Staircase, there's a thing in The Staircase that is ridiculous. And it involves a bird.
I don't know that show.
It was a 12-part documentary or like 10-part documentary that aired, and it was great. You'll love it, actually.
Okay, awesome.
But it felt like these filmmakers were able to get in on a murder trial like right when it started, like before it started. So this guy, like, you watch the whole thing play out, and like all the different theories come up, and like sometimes you think he's guilty, sometimes you think he's not guilty, sometimes you think it could be this person. But there is one theory about what happened that's insane, and it involves a bird, and like I won't even say what type, and like it was dropped. Someone said like, oh, the bird in the staircase, like basically, and I was just like, what do you mean? And like it was the gnarliest spoiler, and I was about to start the staircase myself, and like just the whole time I'm thinking like, when's the bird thing gonna come up? When's the bird thing? Like if it's a big twist like that, I try to not because I've had things ruined for me. I try to just be like, hey, I'm gonna talk about this incredibly significant part of the series that will absolutely blow the fucking lid off of it for you. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, someone started Pretty Little Liars, I wouldn't be like, oh, trans character season 6. Like, I would never do that to you. You know? I just like, where are you at with this? I don't know. We all have our different rules. This microphone is like in my asshole, and Christina keeps tilting it towards me.
I need a piece of toilet paper.
I know. Oh my God, we haven't talked about that. Nothing to do with any of our assholes, but point is that is a reference to a conversation. Do you want to take our calls? Okay, let's do it.
Hi, Malls. My name is Jessica. I'm 26 years old. I live in the Midwest, and I somewhat recently, not that recently, like a year and a half ago, moved to a larger city because I lived in my hometown or near my hometown for most of my life, and I was just sick of it and wanted to find a place that I liked more with more things to do. So that's where I am, except I don't really have any friends in my new city. I live with my boyfriend. We've been together for a really long time. And recently his parents have gotten really sick, so he's been out of town a lot, helping them out. And I find myself just really bored a lot of the time. And I'm just wondering, how do you make new friends in a new city? I don't really go out often. Like, I'm not a big partier. I smoke quite a bit of weed. I'll just be upfront about that. But I'm not really into, like, the bar scene, and I live in kind of, like, a college city, and I'm just not sure how to find friends who are interested in the same things as me and also don't just want to go out and get shit-faced every night. So please advise if you have any advice. I know that you have moved across the country, and obviously it seems like you've made a lot of new friends in your new city. So, yeah, just wondering if you have any advice, and also give Wags a nice smooch from me. Okay, thanks. Bye.
Okay, so just dump your boyfriend. He's holding you back. Christine always gets upset. She's like, that's not what they asked. I don't give a fuck what you asked. Do you want to know why you don't have friends? It's because you moved to a new city with your boyfriend. I mean, Stacey and I both kind of like sighed and rolled our eyes and looked at each other when you said you live with your boyfriend. Small head shakes. Like, we just were like, poor young girl. Like, you will learn. You will fucking learn.
I mean, good for you for moving out of your hometown. I did it when I was 17, and I will probably never move back. So, and I'm also,
What's your
I
hometown?
also hail from I'm from Indianapolis.
Oh, okay.
So I'm like I'm also like wondering what town. It's kind of college-y. Like, I wonder what it is. You might, if you're in a college town in the Midwest, you actually might be from like a very, very small town. But couple of pointers. So many of my friends I met through work.
Yeah.
I mean, I met you at a fucking party.
Yeah.
My first 3 years in LA, during which I did not have a boyfriend, were some of the loneliest and most miserable probably of my life. And I think just you kind of have to just sit in that. But when you have a built-in like chill buddy that you're going to like order in with and cook with and smoke weed with in your house, like you're not going to meet people because you're not out meeting people. You're just not.
Here's the other thing is that every minute that you start to spend doing that you realize, like, wait a minute, though. Like, I'm young. I'm in a new city. Why am I doing this? Like, when I was with my ex that I moved out here with, or he moved out, followed me out here. I moved here first. I lived with him, and, like, it was just, like, I couldn't go out and enjoy the city that I wanted to live in and that I moved here for. Because there was always like a jealousy issue, or who are you going out with, or like, you know, maybe your boyfriend's not like an asshole, but like I will say that you will grow to resent having that Netflix and chill buddy when you are, you know, 3 years into living here and you're still not socially where you want to be. You're not socially independent. It really, like, anything about being isolated or taking a person away, like, I really do think it kind of applies to moving together at a certain point, because you should want for him to go hit up a local sports bar. Guys have this thing built in, which is that if they like sports, they can go make friends. All you do is you go to the sports bar and then you have friends.
Yeah, that's not us at Sephora. You know what I mean? You're not like, hey, let's go try some new fucking primers together. And also, like, not me anyway, but I'm really generalizing right now, but you're exactly right. I would also venture a guess, I don't want to assume this, but I'd venture a guess that now that he's gone on the weekends all the time, you've like really started to feel his absence, because he's who you usually hang out with on the weekends. So again, I don't know what you do during the week. I don't know what you do for work. Fucking smoke weed with somebody at your work. we always think nobody does. They all do.
Yeah.
Everybody does. You'll always find like those 3 people who are like, yeah, go do that. Go out with them. Go to a movie. Like, go on a date by yourself. I used to do this all the time when I moved to LA, and I could feel people looking at me, guys especially, being like, who is this girl out by herself? Like, it's super empowering and also fun. Like, you need to know. It's good to know how to spend time by yourself and to enjoy it. And if you don't enjoy it yet, you have to start learning to.
Oh, I torture myself. Like, I'll be like, I don't care if you are so fucking lonely. Like, you're going to Japan and you're going to have to figure it out. Like, and by the way, like, I'm fine at this point, but I realize now I've thrown myself into so many fucking wild things. Like, I just moved to Austin for like a month. Like, I didn't know anyone. Like, that could have gone a lot of ways.
All right,
and it went in a very good way. Like, when I went to London by myself, that could have gone a lot of ways. I wound up working out. Like, you really have to push yourself, especially your boyfriend's not going to push you, because for the same reasons that you probably wouldn't push him in a crazy way either. Like, you know, it feels better when your security blanket's around.
You got to push out of your comfort zone. It's going to feel weird and uncomfortable at first. You're going to go to a movie by yourself, going out to eat by yourself. You know what? You feel uncomfortable? Bring a book. Bring a magazine. You wouldn't believe. I love going to New York for this reason. Go out in Brooklyn on a Saturday or Sunday morning. There are 30 women at the bar where you're having brunch by themselves, reading the New Yorker. You know they're boss-ass women. You know they're smart. Like, maybe you'll talk to them. Maybe you won't. I went to Santa Fe by myself over Labor Day. I met so many people.
I want to go so bad.
Mostly women. It was great. It was very, to like quote my Insta, like very Tori Amos, like George O'Keefe, 16-year-old Stacey mode, but it was fucking awesome.
Did you go to Meow Wolf?
I didn't, but I did go to, I went out to Ghost Ranch, which was sick. But there's so much to do. You need like 4 or 5 solid days to do everything there.
I had a Valentine's Day where like I drove myself up to San Simeon and just like went to Hearst Castle by myself.
Yeah.
It's just so empowering. Yeah, there is a divide between loneliness and being alone.
Yes.
But you have to start navigating that, because at a point, it does become a choice where you're choosing to stay in or you're choosing to go out and like take the risk to be vulnerable and maybe be like, oh my God, that was a super awkward social interaction. Like, you literally just want to ask someone to be your friend. Be like, do you want to be friends?
Yeah.
Like, do you want to hang out? You just have to get out there. You're not going to meet people smoking pot in your house.
I feel like this is also really good dating advice too. It's just like you're gonna have an awkward moment where you ask someone and they're not gonna reciprocate, and you have to get used to that feeling.
Go to a bar by yourself.
Brace yourself, guys. Like, learn how to learn. This is my big thing right now is I'm like, okay, like, you're probably going to fight with this guy. You are definitely going to fight with this guy. It doesn't mean the whole thing's over. And like, if it does, that was never supposed to happen. You have to brace yourself in life, girl. I really think you should be prepared for this man to break up with you or to find out something you don't want to know.
I would say, but even before that, rather than it be super overwhelming and you're like, I'm just going to stay in because I'm too depressed or scared to do it, use his being out of town on the weekends as an opportunity to do this for yourself. You will not regret it.
I wonder if, if you've been vocal with your coworkers about the fact that you spend weekends alone. Like, I bet like the cool girl in your office would hear that and be like, oh my God, you should come out with me and my friends. And by the way, also remember that in any new city you move to, you will cycle through your first like 5 groups of friends. Like, it's never gonna. It's very rare that it's a good fit right away. And you have to just be like, oh, I like lost 4 friends and I only had 5. Well, you have 1 left, so like hang on to that one, because then you'll just continue to meet people
in their circle.
Sorry, Christina, what were you saying?
I was gonna say, what's the point of being in a relationship if you feel lonely?
Yeah. Don't be like Kristen and Tom on Vanderpump Rules staying together because you share a phone plan. Like, this isn't about, you know what I mean? Like, don't worry about the fact that you have someone who pays half the rent.
Don't worry about the logistics. That shit will work itself out.
Yeah, you gotta do what the heart wants. And I do want to say, in general note about the show, I know I always am telling you guys to dump your boyfriends. It's because I mean it. Like, I really mean it. I'm not doing it to be rude. I just, like, when I hear a young woman struggling to put together some basic ass sense like that, I'm like, oh, just break up with him. Like, it's really only, I'm never doing it to be mean. That said, let's go into this other thing that I've been meaning to address. Okay, so like some people don't really like when I hang them out to dry a little bit over here, like when I just fucking rip them a new asshole. Like these people don't always like it when I ignore their question and do whatever I want. But that's why, like, I always try and remind people that's you called this show where you have an unpredictable element over here, which is my moods. And so some days you're going to call me and I'm going to feel really bad. And I might even like cry about your situation. And some days you call me and I'm too fucking exhausted from my own life to even hear your shit. So if you've called into the show recently and I've burnt your feelings somehow, just know that like, in those moments in which I'm roasting you, that is you on your worst day and what you would say to a stranger who comes at you with like something like, I can't stop spending my husband's money.
I gotta add this too. If you're I think you said you're in a college town. If you're in a college town, this is probably the first and last time in your life you're gonna live in a place where the median age of most people around you is 18 to like 32.
Hot.
Leverage it. I'm serious. Like, you may feel like you're the oldest person at a bar, but there's plenty of bartenders and graduate students. Like, I've done this.
Go
there
to
are
the professor's bar.
many cool people to meet. Yeah, and there's good, like, get in. Maybe there's stuff at the university you can do. You don't always need a student ID. There's good lectures.
Maybe there's an
good
18-year-old
art,
you can do. You know what I'm saying?
or a 23-year-old. Not mean.
Yeah. Know what I'm saying? Oh my God. Can you imagine hanging with like a barely legal dude? Like he's 18. Like, can you imagine?
I
that
mean,
would be like, first of all, the sex would be atrocious.
I don't know about that actually, and I've never
You had the
boned an
nuance
18-year-old
of a 23-year-old though. An 18-year-old is like,
Yeah, I
They
mean that's
fuck
like,
like dogs.
virgin territory. It's rabbit sex. Yeah, not speak. The only 18-year-old I slept with was when I was in the realm of the 18 to 19-year-old. For the record, it's getting into like very gross porny mode, right?
sorry, Christina's
You
just like
fucking
dying. I love it when like I
pervert.
say something that hits Christina really fucking hard. Because it's always the grossest thing that it just comes out. Sorry, Stacey.
No, it's all good. More on that later. No, I just was saying you're in prime friend making land. I moved to LA and was convinced it was going to be really easy, and there were 12 million people here, and there would be friends literally waiting for me at fucking Trader Joe's. Well, you know what? There weren't.
Yeah, there's not friends waiting for you at
Trader Joe's or anywhere for that matter.
You know where they might be? Whole Foods wine night. They might be at the wine bar at Whole Foods.
Do you go to the one in Pasadena?
I don't do that, but I do know people that do it. Like the Whole Foods
If
in
you have
Austin
like
is
a
on
wine
Poplar.
bar, I was gonna say if you have a wine bar near you that does like wine tasting or something like that, that's like a cool way to meet people.
Or maybe
too.
you're a whiskey person. I mean,
Yeah.
whatever. There have got to be cool activities.
Just get the fuck
College
out of your
towns are cool.
house,
Yeah.
sis.
Yeah, and I would say those drinking events are really good to do it because everyone there on a ground level is like at
Trivia
least
night.
willing to fuck with what you do. which
Trivia
is
night.
drink.
Yeah,
trivia
seriously,
night's
trivia
great.
I
night.
love a trivia night.
Everybody, nobody doesn't like a trivia night unless they're just fucking dumb.
And like just walk up to like the people that only have two people. No, it's true.
Right? Nobody doesn't love to be like, I'm smart.
No,
you know?
I actually loved one of my greatest like prides in college was like literally my friends for fun go do trivia. Like I'm like, this is what we do at BC is you go and you learn more and you throw down your facts more.
Yeah.
After a day of throwing down facts, let's go throw down some more facts. And like I was very proud of that. It's a big thing at Boston College. Okay,
Get
so
out there,
listen.
girl. Stake your adventure. Be the Laura Ingalls Wilder of your life and get out there. I'm a big Little House on the Prairie person. The books, not the show, to be specific. But, make your own adventure.
Yes.
It's time. Stake out.
Okay, guys.
Be the change you want to see in the world.
Thanks, Gandhi.
Thanks, Gandhi. All right, let's take another question.
Well, my name is Brittany, and I was calling in regards to a relationship that I just ended yesterday. Essentially, what happened was I was seeing this guy for about 4 months. Very serious. He was super attentive, super attached. It was going so well. It was easy. I felt so comfortable and everything. And last night we met for dinner, and he essentially told me that he met up with his ex over Christmas, and there were still feelings there, and it wasn't fair to do to me, and he left. There were no signs of this beforehand, so I was caught very off guard, and I feel like I didn't talk enough. He literally was saying the other day how much he missed me and he can't wait till we meet up and make up for time because his schedule's been so busy. So I was just calling, asking for advice about, and I know it's hard because you have no details of this, but I have been in situations before where this happened and there's definitely telltale signs and whatever, but this is not the case at all. I just literally less than 3 weeks ago, I threw him his birthday and planned this whole thing, and it was such an amazing night. And I have no reason to believe anything else, but it just happened. So my advice to you is kind of how to cope with this, because I'm kind of at a loss and I'm just trying to remain sane. Also, if it's worth in the near future, but not immediately, to reach out and ask to have a conversation about it. I'd love to know your thoughts. It's kind of a brief message, but just let me know. Thanks. Bye.
That's a brief message, as you know, for Please Advise Nation. And the darkest thing is that she knows that, but I still felt like that went on for 5 hours.
I also think it sounds like she's
I also have no idea what happened.
Still very upset. I think, okay, Christina, help me make sure that I'm recounting. So
also, why does she have such a tiny voice?
I think because she's been crying.
Is she calling from under the sheets? Oh,
she's been really crying.
I think she's been upset.
Oh, yeah. Really?
Yeah, like it just is a fresh breakup.
Oh, I didn't hear like
it happened last night.
Yeah, or
last week, recently. So she saw a guy for 4 months. Everything was great. It was easy. She was super comfortable. He was super attentive. And it sounds like she went away or he went away.
He went away.
He went away for like Christmas or something like that.
And came back. And then he was like, oh, I'm super excited to see you. And then they went out to dinner. And he was like, look, I saw my ex. We still have feelings for each other. It's not fair to you. And I have to peace.
Yeah.
I need the address of this man so I can have a word with him, actually.
I mean, something happened in between that I'm excited to see you text and my ex and I still have feelings for each other. And I bet you that the ex made like a conditional thing where it's like, if you want anything with me, if you ever want to have a future with me, you can't be with her.
Or it's a jealousy play. And this is very common where you're like, I don't want him or her. And then the moment you find out they're seeing somebody else, you're like, actually, I just want to have you I don't want you to, like, I don't want you, but I don't want you to be with anybody else. So I'm just going to be with you.
That's
like, I want you to be beholden
to
me.
I think that's what the ex-girlfriend's doing. I mean, I'll tell you this too, is that they're in college, right?
I don't know that we know
I
that.
assume that's what, like,
I don't think we got.
Oh, okay.
I don't know that
because like the break implied to me like maybe a semester break, but I'll tell you this is that like I myself and a lot of other girls I knew fucked with our high school boyfriends well into our freshman year of college just to know you could. Like, I mean, I broke up with him before prom even because I was just like, peace, dude. I'm going to Boston College next year. I'm going to like get some real dick. I mean, I have to like go study. But I would just like fuck with him for no reason. Like, I remember one night I was like, hey guys, watch this. And I go, oh my God, this is like so terrible. And I called my high school boyfriend and I was like, hey, I want to get back together. He's like, really? And I was like, yeah, let's totally get back together. Like, I made a huge mistake. And then like I fucking ran his life into a wall for like 48 hours. And I did that to entertain myself. So like, just so you know.
That's savage. Oh my God.
Oh yeah. But I mean, like, he was also like, he was pretty savage during our breakup. He spit on me. Yeah. So like, then I get to fuck with him a little bit. Also,
yeah, you do.
He was in California and I was in Massachusetts. Like, I was like, this is like, you really think like you're going to school up by San Francisco and I'm at Boston College and like this is going to happen? This was a mistake on my part? Nah, dude.
I'm going to give you an instructional manual for how to deal with this breakup right now because I just went through one myself not that long ago. I mean, the circumstances were different and I knew there was going to be an endpoint. And like, I'm talking to this person in a friendly way again, but just like, hear me out here. Block him on all social media right away. Just do it. Unfriend him, block him on Facebook, block him on Instagram, block him on, like, just unfriend. You can work all that out later. 2, do not text him. Do not call him. And I would advise at this juncture, do not respond to texts or calls. You ghost him hard. And I don't even, like, we're not even going to give him that much agency. This is about you. Cry it out. Get Uber Eats. Have someone bring you soup. Cry, watch sad movies. Drink wine. Take a bath. Be super patient with and kind to yourself right now. you need to focus on yourself and don't you're not going to have like perspective on this for a little while, but just focus on taking care of yourself right now. Don't that mother.
But I know. And you and I have also been through breakups that like that was obviously the goal. Like that's obviously the goal is to do all of those things. But then sometimes you catch yourself and you're like, once you drink that wine, you are like, you know what? No. And like you go on your phone, you unblock that loser.
You emotionally cut. Yep.
And I will say this is that it sometimes does help to delete his number from your phone and give his number to a friend. So if for whatever reason you ever need it, like it's an emergency, like it's in the hands of your friend. And you have to go through them and say, I'm thinking about texting him before they're like, a good friend won't just give you his number back, but they won't.
Unless you memorize the number. But my ex, like I actually still don't know his phone number, but like my ex, my like big love of my, former love of my life ex, like I'll always know his phone number. Like I've known it for 20 years.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's true. You've known it for 20 years.
But I don't want to talk to him now.
But like, it's really hard to memorize a number now. Like I'm not really great with like, memorizing a phone number now.
Yeah, why would you? I mean.
Please advise his phone number, 323-450-1746.
I know. That's like the only one I know. And like, do you remember how many episodes I have to read that off a piece of paper for? Like I'm telling you, like over 50.
That's true. I've gotten better at the ghosting and like I'm like, you want to see what no communication looks like? Watch this. I've gotten very good at it as I've gotten older, but that's like the last couple of years. When I was younger, it was drunk sloppiness. Like, why don't you like me anymore? What happened?
And like the best thing I would say to do when that happens, because sometimes it's going to happen. And like, you know, even like, look, I did that as like a 30-year-old woman. Like I was like, you're ruining my fucking life, you know? And it's like, if you feel that way and you're upset, you know, and like everyone's going to say to you, like, don't give him that. And it's like, you know what? I'm not giving him that. I'm doing this for myself. Like, I'm fucking pissed and I want some answers. And like, yes, ultimately the better thing to do for yourself is always the thing that's going to get you further in the long run. But when you like, you know, are upset like that, especially if substance is involved, and I'm telling you, like, drinking is a really fucking key point of a breakup and also the most dangerous part of a breakup. Be kind to yourself.
Yeah.
When you wake up, those text messages were never sent. It never happened. It doesn't mean anything. Also, like, you've had exes like come to you crying or send you like a shitty text before during a breakup, or, you know, it's never easy to be the breaker-upper. It's not easy. And I often forget that. Like when I've been broken up with, I'm like, it's not easy to do that.
No.
It sucks.
I would also say from where you sit right now is because I've been the breakupper and the breakupee. I've probably been the breakupper actually more times than the latter. But I'm going to say this, and you're probably not ready to hear it yet, but this is about whatever's going on with him. It doesn't have anything to do with your self-worth or your value or how smart you are or how pretty you are. I'm always just like, I'm ugly and fat and he must hate me and I'm not cool.
Yeah.
And that's not what's going on here. Just try to remember that.
And I definitely...
This all sounds so treacly. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, you don't.
But it's true. Like, you just really... Molly's right. You just got to be patient with yourself right now and let yourself feel it. It's going to be jagged.
And the best way to, like, undo what you just said, because that's a very real fear. And I remember during my last huge relationship breakup, which I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about, whatever, everyone knows what I'm talking about, that was like, I definitely was like, well, I'm never gonna have a boyfriend again. Like, that was it. Like, I thought I was gonna marry that dude, and then I like didn't have to worry about that anymore. And like, now I had to go date someone, and like, obviously, like, the fact that like no one had told me I was pretty in 6 months, and like this all this other stuff that was going on in my life, feeling like unfulfilled in my career, and like I definitely given up way too much for him, and I put a lot of things on the shelf for myself because I was like, he's my concern right now. The concern should have been in myself. So I had such low self-esteem after my last big breakup, that I really found a lot of relief in joining Tinder and then finding out that not only can I get another boyfriend, I can do it a month after we broke up, and it's completely inappropriate, but I have proven to myself that like guys will like me. If I put myself out there, guys, I am likable. Guys can like me. I still have it, so to speak. Like, I really thought that I was like cashed out. Like, don't allow those like bad feelings about yourself to rule your world too long. And I know it's hard to undo that by yourself. So if you need to use other people to do that, feel free. We're all on Tinder. We all know what's happening there.
Have grace with yourself and be forgiving of yourself. I just emerged from breakup, bottom of the well, black abyss town like 2 months ago. So I do understand what that is like. And I'm speaking to you from, I won't say the other side, but I'm getting there.
It sucks. And I will say, if you can, try and like make this memory real. Like put it in crystal. Like literally just like remember this fucking moment. Like, because there are a lot of people that do everything they can to forget how bad they felt when they went through a breakup. And not only does it make you to remember this and like remember this pain, not only does it make future pain like so much less significant because you can reason with yourself
manageable.
And be like, I have been so sad before. I have pulled myself out of this before. I can do it again. But it also makes you a better friend because like a lot of people, like it's really tough when you go through a breakup and all your friends are like, it's okay, you'll move on, or like don't like feel bad. You know what I mean? Like when someone can really like, Christina's an amazing listener. You're a great listener. You also give really good advice. You're both like great friends to have during a breakup, but it can be really fucking difficult when you're turning to people in your life that you can turn to about almost anything else. And no one seems to remember how bad it really feels. And everyone wants to minimize it. You know what? It's okay that like this is every feeling that you have you can either turn it into like a memory or something that you forget. I think it's very important if you can to memorize any feeling like this that you have so that you can be a better friend to other people because people are going to go through this. You'll go through it again. And I'm sure that like the thing that you want the most right now is for like people in your life to be compassionate.
Yeah, and I want to say too, there are going to be things that you find out, and again, like probably not helpful for you right now. There are going to be things that you find out later. It probably won't be tomorrow. It probably won't even be in like a month, but you're going to find something out and it's going to change your opinion of this person in a significant way and you will feel smug and satisfied. I guarantee you, friend, this will happen.
It will.
I'll
tell you this. My mom really fucking blew my mind once. I'm very naive, like about like, I'm like, oh, someone gave me all the information. Like I just assume I know all the information. Like if I take whatever someone says at face value. And I was dating this guy in my like late 20s. Who really fucking tortured me. Like he really batted me around. He knew exactly how much power he had over me because he had, by design, he had created that. And I remember him like admitting to me that he had kind of been in a relationship with someone else and we were broken up at that point. So like whether or not that was within bounds is questionable. Like it wasn't even Ross and Rachel were on a break. Like it was really like, we're not in a relationship, but we've continued to act as though we are. And I had found out that even though we were doing that, he had kind of been in another relationship with another person. And I remember like talking to my mom and I was like sobbing. And I was like, I feel like there's probably not even things he's telling me. And my mom was like, Molly, there's definitely things he's not telling you. She said, this isn't even the tip of the iceberg. She's like, if this is what you're hearing, she's like, this is not you. She said, there's for sure things that you don't know about. And like that really blew me away. Like I was like, oh, but I know. No, like I just because I'm not a liar, I don't think it occurs to me that also like, of course, like there was he probably had sex with my best friends and I don't even know. Probably
didn't have sex with
Ed.
me.
But Ed, can you imagine Ed doing that to me? There's no way.
Can you imagine dating a guy who'd be like, I also fucked your gay best friend?
Yeah. I mean, now in 2018, absolutely I can.
Yeah.
But yeah, girl, just hang in there and call us back and let us know.
Yeah, breakups are the worst. Just hang in there. We have all been through the breakup.
Yeah. Okay, so we had a letter and I did what I never do, which is like Christina had Stacey read it to me beforehand. And I don't think it's appropriate to read on the air because I think that I don't believe it was intended to be private, but I also think that it is very specific. So I don't feel for that reason comfortable reading it on the air. But there's a lot of things that she brought up in this, which is specifically that I think myself and guests being open about sexual assault and experiences with that was like gave her, you know, some idea that people she already listens to and deals with have been through the same thing. She also said that the Me Too stuff that's going on right now has been really difficult for her, which 100% agree.
Yeah.
Basically, I think that was mostly it, which is that she's just been through a horrific experience and she's living through this every single day in the news. And that is something I want to talk about just generally, because even though we don't have a specific question about it, I think that this is something that I'm sure each woman at this table and each person listening to this has had a different reaction to the fact that, like, remember when Mel Gibson left all those really nasty messages for his girlfriend?
But didn't we find out later that they had been edited together? I mean, he did say a lot of gross, awful shit to her, but also that it had been manipulated in some way. I don't want to make excuses for Mel Gibson.
All I'm saying is, like, technicalities aside, as someone who worked in gossip at the time, that was a gift every day. Even though he did said those terrible things to that woman, that was a gift every day to wake up to yet another tape. Like, it's like, oh my God, it's like it's Christmas again. This is like reverse Christmas. Like, it fucking sucks how many times I've just hit Twitter refresh and I've seen someone that I've met or worked with or that's close with a friend or anything else is now in the news for this thing. And it's not just like, you know, like the way that it was sometimes growing up, even like where it's just like, you know, that guy did that terrible thing and like he's gross and terrible. But like this is like on a worldwide level, people are learning this about people that some of us here know or that we don't even need to know. You admire them, you like them. It's just really disheartening to read all this stuff every day. And it's like kind of if it's you've also lived that experience, it's so just crazy making to read people who either want to justify it or minimize it. I know with the Aziz thing, there was that really terrible piece that was written about in the Atlantic, where that woman just basically said, like, women are temporarily powerful right now. Like, you can't, just because you don't know how to call a cab doesn't mean that someone, like, was sexually aggressive with you, which, like, I'm sorry, that girl's account. And I always believe, like, a person who is a victim, because there's really also, there's no way to protect someone like that after that. Like, you can't, no one's going to jail because they were, like, sexually aggressive, unfortunately. So the only like recourse they have is to say something in the news, I guess. It's just been difficult. And like, I want to know like how you've been, Wags, how have you been dealing with that? I just want to know like how you've like dealt with it. If it's been like a triggering situation for you every day, or if you're like numb to it now or what?
I have many thoughts about this. I will say on record that I have never experienced rape and I have never been sexually assaulted. I count myself as fortunate and
it's like literally
just a matter of luck. I won't say that men have not been sexually aggressive with me. I will not say that I have not been sexually harassed or condescended to or objectified. I mean, I walked down Cahuenga wearing this shirt today, and I mean, you would think I was literally walking around without a head. It was like a breast fest or something.
Okay.
I mean, just objectification, and that's a totally separate thing. And I did a Me Too post, and I hesitated to do it because I feel that, I think that, I know that to be a woman in this world means that you've been a victim of some kind of sexual harassment, objectification, assault, rape, molestation, whatever the case might be, which makes me really sad. But I also think it's a reality of being a woman, and that breaks my heart for me and for us as women, that we're almost used to it.
Yeah.
And that we take it as a state of, like a condition of fucking being.
Can I tell you something really fucked up that was said to me recently? I've always made like a kind of loose joke about like when people are like, oh, you've been raped. I'm like, yeah, I went to college in America. Like, obviously I've been raped. But I heard someone else say this that did not, was not trying to be funny, was not trying to like take the wind out of something. She literally factually said, why didn't you go to school? She was like, oh, I didn't want to get raped. And it's not funny at all. And it's like not great logic either. But that is how synonymous like going to a university can be with sexual assault for some people. Like, you know, literally the way to not do that is one way to avoid having something like that happen to you
is not going to college.
It's just not going to college.
Reading something like this letter today, I wonder if it actually further marginalizes people who have been through truly horrific shit. In so much as, yeah, everybody's been sexually harassed and, you know, had their ass or their tit groped, blah. But what about the people who are taking a calculated risk, not just from a personal vulnerability standpoint, but from a professional standpoint?
Yeah.
I'm sure there are legions of women in Hollywood who would love to out the next person and are like, yeah, that happened to me, but this is my career and I need this or I want this. And I almost wonder if it hasn't, not just from a triggering perspective, but making it harder for people who have experienced true trauma or severe trauma, we'll say. I don't want to like trivialize anyone's trauma. It's all real and legitimate. If it's not that much more difficult for them to share an experience like that, and how it must be to be like, you know, my dad raped me, which was not what this letter was about, for the record.
But you
or
can
whatever.
always say, like, you know, like, I will say that there have been days where I've woken up and I've just really hoped that the people who have been inappropriate towards me or to me or whatever are going to be outed next. But I know I can't do it. I'm sorry. Like, I just can't. Like, I haven't worked in, like, I haven't had, like, a full-time job. I've sold scripts and so I haven't had a full-time job in 3 years.
Well, think about that media list that got circulated. I mean, that girl's, like, that woman's blacklisted now, sadly.
Yeah.
I mean, it did not.
And additionally, like, if you know anything about media and you saw it, no one on that list was a remote surprise. Like,
I work in media. I haven't seen the list. And I know that there are a lot of journalists, male and female alike, who had issues with the way that it was circulated and the way that it was put together. But from the perspective of believing and listening to women, I don't know. It's been an interesting moment. I just hope it's not just a moment.
Well, that was, I think, the thing that really fucking killed me. And this is my, like, thought on moving forward. So, because I kind of, like, had to put this together this week, is that the thing that really bothered me about the Aziz piece is not that the woman kept pointing out over and over again how old she is, you know, and which is a big thing for me because it's like, you know what, at least you can acknowledge that, but to put this in the most like common stupid example that people do to make people and women and people who are young feel worse about themselves is like the vocal fry argument. Like, vocal fry is so annoying. Well, it's like, you don't speak in Old English anymore either. So like, language adjusts, it develops, it changes. The way that people talk changes over time. So like, to have an issue with the way an entire generation of women apparently speaks is just, you're literally just saying like, I don't want to hear you talk. The way you talk annoys me. Learn how to say it my way. That's really annoying to me. So I do think about, like, when I was reading that piece, that part of it. But mostly that she called women temporarily powerful, which really took my breath away because deep down I feared and suspected that maybe that's the case. And the only evidence I have to support that is that, unfortunately, none of these women who have come forward have jobs because they did it. Like, if someone really take Mina Suvari, for example, where the fuck has she been? Now we know she's so fucking talented, such a great actress, so comedically brilliant, like, just amazing. Take her and develop something with her. Like, no one's picking up the ball on the other end of like them throwing it out there. They're being like, oh my God, poor Selma Blair, victim. You know what I mean? And like, it's just not, I just think that if people want to really show that they are sorry for this happening and that it's not valid and that you are not crazy, that you are worthy, that you are all these things, give them a fucking job. Like, that is really all they're saying is like, I want to work. All I want to do is work, and I can't do it because something really bad happened to me.
Or something really bad happened to me, and now I'm known as outing that something really bad happened to me. Like I outed a person because I will say this, for every man that has been outed, the Matt Lauers and Harvey Weinsteins of the world, there are probably 10 other men, like a 1 to 10, 2 to 10 ratio of people who have not been, and I would argue will not be outed.
No. And for every one of those, there's probably 100 people who gave up on their dreams or, you know, realized that or decided that what they wanted their whole life wasn't that because they had a terrible experience. Like, I mean, can you imagine
women that we're never going to see or know their names because they didn't get that chance to take that or they gave up. I mean, I get that, you know.
I think about like the privilege of like working your way up to being like an NBC page, for example, and how like for so many people getting into the page program is like the most exciting first step towards their career.
Right.
And everything that they've done up until then has been about getting into that. And then you work your way all the way there. Now you're working with the on-air talent. And then something like that happens. And basically, like, all of your accomplishments are not only minimized, but, like, the joy is sucked out of it. And it's so, like, that's actually, like, the part that really bums me out is I hate to see people give up on their dreams because they had one really nasty boss or they, you know, we have a caller that she's called frequently. She worked in PR and, like, basically her boss fired her and she'd moved home. And it just was like, oh, like, yeah, like, you know what? I can understand if I was 22 and I had some older woman who worked in my field who really like fucking shook me by the shoulders for a very silly reason. I could see why I would go home after that if I was like, you know, if I was like a little bit less like secure or like
or on
like,
the precipice of whatever.
I'm so stubborn. I think that's probably the problem. But and why I continue to put myself through hell. I mean, I think everyone thinks this industry is really fucking hellish. And it's like kind of like the joke is that it's very hard to do. But it's not digging ditches, but it's like now I think now what people are seeing is the mind fuckery that goes on in it. Like, because like here's the thing is that people are always like, oh, celebrities complaining about their jobs. And it's like, no, I mean, first of all, this happens in every industry and we certainly know that. But like now that I feel like this is showing a sinister layer that people could assume is there, but like now it's like really there and it's been confirmed. And it's like, oh, it actually is hard. And you can also have everything and it can be taken away from you. And it's not because you're crazy or because you're a drug addict or whatever else. And I think it does suck that like Rose McGowan, for example, yeah, she just got a new show to be a victim, like to be a show about being a victim. Like that is
like that's her narrative now.
Yeah.
Rather than her just being able to get to create art.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it could be argued that is art, but yes, you're right. It backs you into
I think she'd probably rather be making movies. I don't want to speak for her, but I'm pretty sure that if she could have been in the position of just making movies this whole time, she would have done that.
And not being like the poster woman / spokesperson. I mean, it may be a role that she enjoys playing, but that's not what she envisioned herself doing.
It's so sad. And I was watching like old Rose McGowan interviews last night, like from like 98. And like, she's just so young and pretty and like smart. She's very smart. And like, it just was like, it's just like this, how terrible that this like girl who was once this woman who was just once this young girl who like came here and like she fought through being in a cult as a child and like everything else. To have that taken away is crazy. And I don't even think people really knew what Children of God was. Like when like the Phoenixes were in it too. Like I don't think I ever really processed ever until like maybe last year that they were brought up in like a child sex trade cult.
Yeah, not a good situation.
Yeah.
Like you're digging out from under. I mean,
so yeah, it really sucks to see someone come that far and then like I just wish they would give these people jobs, all of them. There should be like I don't know. There should be like some sort of like job network, like companies that are stepping forward and saying like, if you lost your job because of this and you're qualified to work here, you should work here.
They do it for veterans.
Yeah.
Literally, they do it. Companies like Chase, Disney do it for veterans. Why wouldn't we do the same for women who would be like, you know, we're going to give you a place like, I don't want to say a safe space to work, but a safe space to work, like just to do your job without you being a symbol of this thing that happened to you or like being like having to be reminded every day about this thing that happened to you.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's tough. But like we wanted to respond just like generally to this because I'm sure, I mean, I know that if you're listening to this, you've read the news or something by now, that this is just like all so, it's like the back and forth of it too. And I think the reason why the Aziz thing, it has so many people fucked up, is because people really have a hard time seeing a guy that's like kind of a beta male. Like, you know, it's definitely about like, oh, the white girls are turning on brown men now.
He's a minority.
And it's like, you know what? It's like, your fave could, like, no one's exempt. Do you know what I mean? No one is exempt from being accused of this. No one is exempt from doing it. It's rape and sexual assault is not just some disgusting man penetrating you without your will. Like, that is not the only way to do it. And it might actually be possible that a very successful man of any color, especially after we've seen, it's not just white guys. Like, I don't know.
It doesn't matter what color you are. I mean, maybe I'm not in a place that I am the white girl, but you know, there was still a power differential at play that I don't feel like has been widely enough addressed. It's like, you're at Aziz Ansari's apartment. Like, I would fucking go out with him just for this. I mean, I wouldn't now, but like, I would go with him just for the story. It doesn't like, and I would put on a cute outfit and like maybe hook up with him, but that doesn't give him the right to be a dick.
The finger thing really freaked me
and
out.
then send me a gross, like, you know, quote unquote woke text about it the next day. Like, oh, you did exactly what you should do if this was a scene in your show.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Here's something that being outed has really sparked some really interesting pieces, not the shitty ones, but inherently how our dating, what's considered dating norms are inherently like to devalue women and depower women and don't acknowledge that like the fight, flight, or freeze complex of people's reactions.
Well, and you know, most of the guys that are coming up with this stuff and being like, well, was it a bad date? No, you're just afraid you're going to be outed for your behavior. And like, you're going to be forced to confront that, like, you didn't take a soft no the first 4 times as an answer. And you have to look at yourself in the mirror and say, like, I'm as bad as these guys.
Or like the idea that you can go to a man's apartment and not give them sex.
Oh yeah.
Sex is not the apex goal for every outing that you had. You can have you can have a satisfying experience and like do oral and that'll be it. Or just do like second base stuff and that'll be it. Or just make out or
do nothing.
Yeah. And that'll be it. But like the normalization of that being the end goal has been a detriment to women.
Yeah.
To the point where when we talk about bad sexual experiences, men and women talk about different things. So and I was just reading this really good article that was in the week called The Female Price of Male Pleasure.
Okay.
And then basically it was like they looked at a couple polls that were like unscientific, but like really summed up a lot of things. And so like when guys talk about bad sexual experiences, they usually mean a partner that wasn't engaged or like the sex was boring.
Right.
When women talk about bad sexual experiences, they talk about it being painful. Mm-hmm. They talk about not having an orgasm. Mm-hmm. They talk about feeling threatened. Mm-hmm. And like the fact that those
chills right
I
now.
know I have chills too. I feel really gross.
You should read the article. It's really good.
But read it.
And by the way, that says everything, that 3 different women from 3 different backgrounds are sitting here with fucking chills, like, and angry talking about this, because you're exactly right. A woman is inherently in a much more vulnerable position in any sexual encounter, you know.
And that we're taught and conditioned to play hard to get, and men are taught and conditioned to like take the no and keep pursuing
and
it.
that's always the end game. Whether I'm like not giving it up, or whether you are trying to get me to give it up to you. That's
inherently it involves coercion.
Yeah.
Our sexual experiences are rooted in coercion.
Yeah.
And that's like, yes, it might be normal for dating, but it is a broken system that has left so many women unsatisfied and also mentally and emotionally damaged.
That's so true, Christina.
Damn, girl. That is,
it is a big problem. I know, it's huge.
So like whatever
huge.
we've normalized in dating has been so detrimental to women, and that we need to rethink about it
since childhood. Like,
women have been groomed to not be to be polite and to supersede their own comfort in the service of another person.
But that's so,
usually
even in our language, in the way that I had some fucking guy at the airport yesterday who could have fully walked around the keychain booth to like not ask me to move out of his way. He was like, excuse me. And I was like, I would never do that. But I'm like, check myself that I would just, oh, you're not going to move? I'll just go around. Because women in language, in movement, in so many, and I find this with myself every day in my life, in my personal life, in my professional life, that it comes so naturally to me to accommodate other people.
Oh,
like let me fix this, or let me make you comfortable. How can I help you? How can I be of service to you? And it's that dynamic that I almost...
Those small examples, though, are very powerful.
Yes.
I had a very recent airport thing myself. I like Insta-storied this, but like, those are gone. So I will say that like I love flying Southwest, and I usually like either get an upgrade or I pay for it in advance. And but if I ever get an upgrade, it's because I have good status with the airline, because I paid to fly a lot of times with them. So I got A3, which is like great boarding position. You want to be in an A, obviously. So I'm A3, guy ahead of me, A1 and A2. Got it. We're all there. And they were like businessmen. They're white businessmen with suitcases. They obviously, I think we were stopped in Denver. So they obviously were like having like a little quick weekend business trip or something. And this other guy walks up and doesn't say what, and I think he's A5 or something, and just starts talking to the two guys, and like, and I'm like, then he realizes after like 20 minutes of just babbling and saying like crazy shit. Like I was like, also like, this could not be a more like offensive individual on every level. He says, oh, I'm not even on this flight. And he walks away. And I said to the two guys in front of me, I said, you're A1 and A2, right? And I was like, yeah. And I was like, I'm A3. I said, why did you let that man stand next to you? And they were like, oh, it doesn't matter. And I was like, no, it's the principle of it. I said, if you were A1 and 4 people got in line ahead of you, would you be upset? And he was like, I mean, and I said, that I'm A3. And I said, why? And it's just like so stupid, but it's like, you're not following the rules because I'm a girl. If I was another businessman in line, that would have been a completely different situation. And what annoys me about it is like, I don't have a company paying for my ticket. I pay for my own ticket. I pay for my boarding position. And I probably have worked harder to have those things than you have. Like, I've never had your privilege. I've never had that. My boyfriend is amazing. The dude fucking gets discounts everywhere he goes. And it's probably because he's like the nicest guy. But I also am like, no, it's also because you're like, I hope like must be nice. Like everyone from your laundromat to like that bartender gives us a discount because you're just so nice. I'm like, that's not how life works. Like I pay. Sure, like sometimes someone will take something off the bill for me or send over something or whatever, but very rarely never has my laundromat said to me, we'll take a couple pounds of laundry off for you. Never. And it's like, and it's just, I think that I think it's because I don't often pay attention to what white men are doing. It's just true. Like I generally think less of them when I walk amongst them in the world. I just do. Like those two guys, I'm like, of course you're like 2 fucking white guys with suitcases. Like, fuck off. Like
I travel for business all the time. I was basically the highest level status, medallion status you could be on my airline last year.
That.
I'm regularly the only woman in first class. I'm regularly one of 3 women in the Sky Club, which I sometimes feel bad about even going to because you're just choosing to immerse yourself in like a less diverse, less interesting world.
Yeah,
and people have it's so prevalent.
I
and there's
do
so
feel
many
weird
stories
guilt
I could give.
and like shame about being in like the club thing. I don't like that.
It's free alcohol and snacks, and like I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, and also too, when you're like traveling back from West Africa or another place, and you're like, I finally have Wi-Fi. I want to take a shower. I want to use soap. Like it is, or when I'm camping out working for 3 hours and just want to have an hour.
But you just said
Wi-Fi.
yourself, you're getting a less diverse and interesting experience by putting yourself into something that's been set up for people who are wealthy to be in.
It's a system. It's the same reason why I would rather stay at like a mid-price hotel in Paris than stay at the Four Seasons. Like, would the Four Seasons be amazing? Of course it would be. Would I stay there for a couple nights? Sure. But am I going to meet more interesting people there or out in the world?
Wouldn't spend money on the Four Seasons in Paris for a variety of reasons. Number one being, if I'm in Paris, I'm not going to be in my hotel room. Like I'm going to be out walking and hitting the streets. If I go back and passed out. My mom, my sister, and I went to Paris. We shared a hotel room that was literally smaller than my bedroom here, and there was 3 grown-ass women. The beds were touching each other, and like it was still like an absolutely lovely hotel room. It was an amazing experience.
But you weren't hanging out there.
No, we were walking around all day, and when we were hanging out there, we were passed out from like walking, and jet lag and all that stuff. So yeah, I don't really understand it.
No, there's just so many things to say about this topic. There have also been some really, I know we're all talking about the same articles. There have been a couple in the New York Times that made me want to fucking stab my eyes out. And Catherine Deneuve in her whole letter, that's not absolutely not helping, especially in a place like France. Like, please no. But I also think that a lot of the current, especially the Aziz thing, which I feel like is almost, I don't want to say it's a tipping point situation, but it is.
It kind of feels like one.
It is a tipping point situation in so many ways. And I feel like the reason we have so much anxiety about it isn't just because of the way that this man has presented himself to us in a show that he, to be fair, you know, gets to write about himself and, you know, create.
Oh, I've never seen it. I just mean societally. But I will say he is the guy who writes a romance book. He's the guy that's like a beta male. Like,
right. But also that men, and almost every man I know, is terrified that there is an instance in their past, whether it's real or not, whether like their fear is like founded in a mutually held feeling or not, or a feeling by a woman who just hasn't said anything to them, that they have crossed a line in some way that was not addressed because of systems that were, and I would argue are, in place. And I think there is that anxiety pervades all of our mixed feelings about the Aziz thing.
Yeah.
Men and women, you know?
And it was a little weird that he got to just be like, hey guys, I made a statement. And then we're all like,
and his show's not canceled.
No.
James Franco, Woody Allen.
I mean, that's been really interesting. Franco in particular, like how no one was really co-signing on his the allegations about him. No one, it seemed like he like got it. I mean, he won a fucking Golden Globe. Like,
did he get nominated?
No,
he didn't.
He was pulled off the Vanity Fair cover. He wasn't even invited. Casey Affleck can't present. It seems like the Oscars really putting their fucking foot down. But in a ways, like the black dresses at the Golden Globes really fucking pissed me off. And I will just say this, is that it's like because you're not going to wear them next year. And it's still going to be a problem next year. In fact, you're not even going to wear them 2 weeks later to the SAG Awards. Like it's not the, you know, the first Oscars after 9/11 where like everyone's wearing their little political pins. Like this is a much bigger problem than like a 9/11. Like this is 9/11 every fucking day for women, and we'll continue
the 9/11
to
of women's vaginas and like spiritual existence.
Exactly, and it's not a flash in the pan moment. This has always been going on. It will continue to go on. And like to minimize that by wearing a black dress or taking a day off of Twitter or something is like really fucking embarrassing. Like it's just. Give these people jobs. Sorry. I keep coming back to that.
Yeah. I mean, the hard thing is like, and I also like, I have a niece and I'm expecting another one on the way. And it's just like, how do you, like my brother could probably be the most strict parent and protect her and never let her sleep over anybody's house and always have her home after school. And there's still some way that she might experience a negative experience.
Oh, I'm Shauna McAleer's daughter.
Certainly
I was raised. My mom was like,
my parents were strict with
cracking the whip constantly. Like I was always on my toes as a child. Home, like whatever. No, totally. Like it is. It's not even.
And it feels like an inevitability.
It is,
and that sucks.
It does suck, and especially like it does suck, especially when you. I mean, for every like, you know, let's take it off of your family, but like someone out there has a niece that they love and like they would fucking kill someone if they did this to their niece, but they still are shitty to women.
Yeah. Like,
and growing up and seeing that sort of balance, the way that, you know, certain people I've known in my life, I'm like, but as a child, like you like worshipped me and like you know, made sure my mom was respected because she was a single mom, but like you're so fucking shitty to your wife and kids.
And
like,
other women on the street. Or
whatever. Yeah. So, you know, it's like a fun, I don't know. It's like a fun token sometimes for these guys. And like, isn't that nice that like a woman's like working on a man's level? Like, that's sweet, right? Like, it's just always so, there's so many things that are broken about this, and I don't blame anyone who feels really terrible every day. But I hope that people know that like they're definitely far from the only ones thinking it. And I think that I'm trying to be as solution oriented as possible moving forward, which is like, you can't fix the problem, but how can you start to make it a little bit right?
And
That's
it's okay
really
if
point.
you're also like working through your own feelings about this. Like there are things that I've had to work out. Like, okay, yes, this aspect of it is wrong, and like, yes, it's tricky. It's tricky.
It's hard, yeah. Because also the other thing too is that, I mean, like I said earlier, the only reason, I mean, not the only reason, but one of the main reasons why this is being handled the way it is with people coming forward is because there will be no day in court. Like, and if there was, it wouldn't work out in that person's favor because there's too much, you know, deniability or like reasonable doubt. Like there's too much there that you can say, but this is a he said, she said. And even though you look at that and you're like, that is absolutely not like a he said, she said between Harvey Weinstein and Gwyneth Paltrow or whatever. That's obviously not that. Sorry. But it just like your opinion and your knowledge and like your gut instinct about the way the universe works, especially as a woman, like is it doesn't matter the court system or like things will be like through what's it called, the window of time that you can, and then after that
statute of limitations,
which is fucking ridiculous. Like it's just absolutely ridiculous how
that's how Roman Polanski got.
Yep.
I mean, not exonerated, but I mean, for all intents and purposes, he was exonerated. He's still working as a director.
Yep.
Oh, he can't work in the United States.
Right, he can't.
So, like,
but
he will have to. He would be arrested if he ever steps foot back in the
but
United
he's still
States.
working as a director in
Yes.
Hollywood
Yeah.
with an enormous amount of clout and financial backing, I might add.
Yeah. No, whatever. It just sucks. It sucks.
It's really hard. Everyone's still processing and working through it, but I'm ultimately glad that the moment is happening, and hopefully it creates a forever shift because I think it's empowered a lot of people to speak out about their experiences and find a way to process the things that have happened to them that they might have brushed off as casual, but they still felt bad about, and also enabled a lot of women. Like I think about the whole like women's gymnastics thing that happened with the doctor.
Oh my God.
And how many more women have been able to speak up, and Michaela Moroni's like not getting any legal implications for breaking her NDA that she signed, and the fact that she even had to sign one is ridiculous. But
yeah, that situation brings me to tears, and I what makes me more upset, almost or as upset as the fact that it happened, was about the cover up.
Yeah.
And the hush-hushness of it. That is
ultimately the thing that upsets me the most about this movement so far is like the perpetrators are getting their due, but the people who enabled that structure to exist for so long do not have any recourse.
Oh, they're like, oh, we didn't know.
Yeah.
And I'm like
the producers that had like whoever was the producers on the Today Show that enabled Matt Lauer to do what he did for so long.
Yeah.
Will never experience real recourse for what they did and how many women's careers they were.
Who was it said like with the button they're like, you have to put in a work order for that. Like you literally have to like call the building and be like, hey, I want a button underneath my desk so that it will lock the door. Like, first of all, are you an evil like super villain? Like who even has that? Is that from like, that's like from an 80s movie where like you press a button under your desk and like the floor across from you falls because someone didn't make their quarterly bonus or whatever. I just like There's a lot of people that were complicit.
And
to
for
say
what?
the least. Complicit's a small word.
To keep the ratings so that you can keep advertisers, even though when he got the boot, the ratings went up anyway. So we could have resolved the situation ages ago.
I think that people get afraid too because they're like, well, if we point out that like, you know, Mickey Mouse is a pervert or something. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, he's someone that it's like he's a safe person for all these Americans. And so, like, the fear is like, if we do that, like, the whole company could crumble. Like, this person we've backed. Yeah. And it's like that's not actually a realistic fear anymore because, one, there's so much on TV that, like, people who watch your show are going to stay watching your show, especially if there's, like, an upset or something like that. But yeah, I think the companies, they want to stay safe and they want to do like as little liability as possible. And if they fire someone because they found out something, they either will never admit it, Which, by the way, I do wonder how many people have like departed from their jobs, like over the
silently,
years,
with like being like, I'm never gonna admit to this or cop to this, but we all know why this is why I'm leaving, but this will never be stated on the record.
I do wonder how many like famous firings or famous things we know of people walking away after all these years are because, like Jimmy Savile, for example, like he wasn't found out while he was alive, really, was he?
Mm-hmm.
Was he the
British
the
like,
guy at the BBC?
Yeah.
It didn't really like come out until after he was dead, I think.
Yeah, like the weight of what he had done. So
can
anyway.
I say that? And this is the final point I'll make on this, and I want to give. I hope in saying this, it gives credence to like everyday women's experiences, which I know is like what the Me Too movement is really about. But you know, we get so much press and so many media hits about people in very high profile positions, household names, people that we all know. I think, you know, being from the Midwest and living on the coast and being very politically progressive and socially progressive, and someone who is like definitely, like my parents, especially my dad, are decidedly like not as much, especially as they're aging. I think I understand why people get skeptical about like people in Hollywood taking up the cause of women who work in fields or work in factories. And I know that it's with the best of intentions, and I love the intention and like the sentiment that is behind it, but they're still the focus.
Yeah.
And I know that they brought people with them to the Golden Globes, and again, I get it, but it's not.
That's also so flippant. Like, it's like,
enough.
I'm sorry you were raped. Do you want to come to the Golden Globes? Like, it's so flippant.
It's
like,
also just, it just seems if I'm like a woman in Indianapolis who like maybe would have voted for Trump, maybe would have voted for Hillary, or like I'm on the fence or whatever. I'm not, to be clear. But being from where I'm from, I get why people are like, I mean, we live in Los Angeles, right? Like we're in New York all the time. We're in LA all the time. But it just seems so far removed. It seems self-important. It seems so far removed.
Well, no, people just have really odd reactions, I think. Like, I've noticed more and more people just have odd reactions in times of stress. That Keaton kid, like, fucking killed me because everyone's like, oh, like, do you, like, it's me, Tom Brady. Do you want me to, like, ride on my shoulders when I do my next, like, when it's like, no, dude, like, this kid's being bullied, okay? The solution is not to have fake adult friends that are celebrities. That is weird. And, you know, to be honest, a lot of people, yeah, it's easy to be like, but what about the factory workers? It's like, well, you know what? If you're working in a factory, you probably have to have that job. That's probably, like, your best option where you are. And for a lot of people, there is no like infrastructure to make sure that you're safe from that. And like there is no better job to go to. And all you did was just take away a paycheck from your family that probably really needs it.
There is no one to speak. I don't care if it's like Tracy Ellis Ross, again, love her, or Eva Longoria, or whoever it might be. It's not like she's at the factory door, you know, like waiting for you when you get out at night. And again, I appreciate the sentiment, and like, of course, money is needed and legal funds, but I don't know. I'm a little bit conflicted about the sentiment versus how it will actually play out.
Right, exactly. Because people are like in a rush to do something helpful, and what they don't realize is that they could be pulling out a thread that will fucking just dismantle a person's life. There's a reason why. Like, it's not just being bashful or like embarrassed or scared of losing your job. Like, there are a lot of reasons why that run very fucking deep for why women don't say things. I mean, I've shared on this, like, I have kept from partners before that stuff happened to me because I've had guys have terrible reactions in the past and basically be like, ew, or like, that's drama, or I don't want to deal with that. Like, can you imagine how there's a woman out there that would probably get the shit beaten out of her by her husband for admitting to him that her boss raped her? Like, that is some dark shit, but that is a lot of people's reality.
Beating up your wife wasn't even a crime 50 years ago.
Oh,
I mean, yeah. We could do a whole podcast just about this.
I know. Do you want to take another call?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks for writing in, though. You know who you are.
We heart you.
Hey, Malls and Christina. This is Valencia again. I called last year about my mom dying. It was pretty weird to listen to it back and see how creepy and sad I sounded. And it was nice to hear you guys say that I would be strong and all that kind of stuff. But 2017 was just a garbage year. and not, whatever. You had nothing to do with that. But I'm calling because I have a new dilemma in my life. I really, 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 really want to quit my job, and I don't want another job because I want to start a small business, an edibles company in Washington, D.C. I have already started making moves. I've been making edibles, getting feedback from friends and other people that I meet. Got my Instagram handle, I'm working on my logo, bought the domain name for the name I want to use for it, all that type of stuff. And just the situation at my job has gotten really, really awful. I hate it. It was already a boring and tedious place to work. And now I've had this issue with one of the managers because she's a passive aggressive person, and I tried to sort of take it higher up the chain, and essentially they just were you sound like you should be able to resolve conflicts by yourself. And I'm just but the whole point is she's being unprofessional, which is why I brought it to you. But whatever. I'm calling because I would just your opinion if you think it's stupid for me to quit my job. I have money that I got from life insurance, basically, so it's not there's no cushion there for me to be able to make a mistake and take this time in these 6 months, or not 6 months, however long it takes. It's just that I don't trust myself, because if I don't have necessarily somewhere to be or something to do, I can kind of flounder and go stir crazy. And I've done that in the past. It's just that right now my job is driving me insane, and B, I feel really confident about my business being viable in DC because their industry isn't super oversaturated like it might be in Colorado or California. And I know I'm a great cook. I'm a smart person, and I've try to do my research as best as I can, and I'm willing to put myself out there and happy to do it in this, edibles business. And I guess I just kind of want your opinion on whether that's a crazy idea or if I should just kind of go for it, not in a girl power, you can do anything you want, girl way, but just honestly, since you've started businesses yourself, you're a creative person who relies on your own work ethic to pay your bills, which I commend you for, since you talk about how you can't get out of bed yet you still do the podcast. It's so admirable that you have this incredible work ethic. So I just kind of wanted your opinion, because that's not me. I will flounder at points, but I just feel this is a really good idea. This is a good time because the weed stuff in DC is kind of just kicking off. So I'd just like your opinion on whether or not that's a crazy idea, since I have the knowledge, the skills, and some cushion to not end up homeless. Thanks so much.
Okay, so I used to last year be and every other year, and thank you for acknowledging that I wasn't the reason why 2017 sucked. Because also it did for everyone, and I think that's why a lot of us have had a hard time getting the new year started, whatever.
Yeah.
I used to be really just don't quit your fucking job, don't be entitled. I'd be very, just tough on people because
stick with it.
Yeah, stick with it, because also jobs aren't easy to come by, and the last thing I would want for you, as a young woman starting your life, is to put yourself back out on the job market in a hasty way and then wind up fucking yourself. But I was gonna say, up until before you even said anything about the what's it called? Life insurance. I said life support, life insurance money. I was gonna say, if you save 2 to 3 months of rent, I'm fine with you doing whatever you want with your job. Tell your job to go suck it. That's really the only thing that matters, is that you have 2 or 3 months of rent, because you can get something going in 2 to 3 months. In terms of the life insurance money, that's incredible. And obviously doesn't fix anything, except for it gives you more options now for your life, which I think is something that your mom definitely would have wanted for you, to have more options, and so what I would do in order just to kind of help you get extra motivated is maybe think about renting a WeWork space or something like that because there's, yes, there's the baking part and the actual stuff that you have to do at home probably. I don't think there's any commercial kitchen that's going to let you just bake up some weed. But like if you're going to need to go and do, reach out to people, have samples. Also being in like a WeWorks environment is really good when you're doing a startup business or anything like that. I think young people who are renting a small office space are absolutely your target demo for something like edibles. And I think that would be a really good place for you to kind of just go every day, do your do 4 hours a day. I think that if you're working hard, 4 hours a day is enough. And really like just nose to grindstone, emails, meet with people, have people come to your office space. Like, have people come try your samples there. People will be happy to see that you're not doing it out of your house. You know what I mean? So that's my advice. Stace, what do you think?
So I definitely think that it sounds like you've really thought it out. I was in a job that I was miserable in about 3 years ago, and I wanted to quit from like month 4, and I didn't. And originally I thought that like everything else in my life wasn't going well because of my job. As it turns out, it was just like total denial across the board that permeated every avenue or like aspect of my life. And I actually got laid off. And all of these amazing things ended up happening to me after, but I digress. I think it sounds like you need some structure if you're going to quit. And I think knowing that about yourself, because I'm like that. And I worked for a company at home and I started to go out of my mind. Like I have an office now with my whatever. Our headquarters are in LA. I love it. I love being around people. There were days when my only human interaction was ordering coffee. And like I would go to yoga at like 6 and I would like be really chatty with people. And I'm like, I'm an extrovert. Like I have to be able to talk to people. Like I can't keep living my life this way. I'm like a monkey in a cage. So I think
that surprises me that you're an extrovert.
Really?
Yeah.
Come on.
I don't know why. Well, because I feel like I know you. Like I think I have at least a vision of your home life as well. And you and I are very similar in the sense that, yeah, I like to lay on my heating pad and not speak to anyone too. So yeah, I'm so introverted that I assume the same about you. I think
I need a balance. I definitely can feel my energy levels rising when I'm talking to other people, even if I'm like very tired. But I also need time and space to recharge. That's also incredibly important to me. But knowing, her name's Valencia, right? Knowing that you need that structure, be vigilant and be disciplined about providing that for yourself. Like whether it's getting an office space or maybe you find another jerk off part-time job just to like give yourself some structure that's easy, maybe work with other people that you like. Hallmark. Yeah, exactly. Or work at Starbucks. You get benefits that way. Like, I mean, whatever. I worked at Starbucks and they are my client now, but I also walked out of a drive-thru. I had to be there at like 4:30 in the morning. It was like the worst experience of my life. So maybe not for you. But like
side note, I found out that store managers at In-N-Out Burger make $126,000 a year.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah,
I mean,
McDonald's
maybe
is like starting salary is $100,000 for a manager.
Yeah, I mean, it's maybe there's another job you can do just part time to give yourself that structure where you're like, I'm getting up in the morning, I'm getting dressed because, and again, I don't know what kind of person you are, but I would say too, getting into what you're getting into, like living in California through like there are different organizations. Sorry, you guys are like dying.
It's just like why am I know, I'm sorry.
No, I paid $100,000 so I wouldn't have to make $100,000 a year at McDonald's. This is the dumbest fucking thing when you think about it. I'm sorry.
Like, why am I even trying? Like, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's all good. I'm just being mispractical Midwesterner right now because I am like terrified of ever not having a job. I also kind of like am okay with someone else. Just like you can worry about the benefits, and I don't want to worry about that stuff.
Well, which is why I'm the same way, and that I've always been really tough with people up until now, and I think that that's actually very much the smart thing to do is like to get a part-time job.
Yeah,
even if it's doing something dumb, and if you're.
Or just doing something easy. It doesn't have to be dumb. Just like something that's not going to suck all of your mental energy away.
Here's my deal. If I worked at a Starbucks now, though, I would have to drive like deep valley. Like I could not be running into people I know as a barista.
I think about that all the time.
Stace, I got your mobile order ready for you.
I mean... I could not be running into
like
people.
How deep in the valley?
Like 45
like
minutes.
Pacoima.
Yeah, really. I don't even know. Like, I
like
don't even,
Simi Valley. Deep.
Arcadia isn't far enough. Like,
No.
I would need to.
Sherman Oaks, no, that's still
like, West Covina.
Sherman Oaks would be worse than Glendale.
West Covina. It had to maybe like Redlands.
Yeah.
That's IE.
Thousand Oaks.
No, there's too many industry people. Think far away from this business. Think not even
no Calabasas, no Thousand Oaks, no Agora Hills. It'd have to be deep SGV or IE or like North Valley.
Azusa?
Azusa, maybe.
A to Z USA.
A to Z USA. You taught me that.
That's why I brought it up.
Shit fucking blows my mind. Sheena from Vanderpump Rules is from Azusa, so I just don't know. I feel like maybe if I ran into Sheena, I'd be embarrassed.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't really know her.
I would do whatever it took to, make happen what needed to happen.
Shame is a luxury.
Exactly. But if you need that structure and you need it, I would advise. I'd also say, again, having lived here and like I have a couple of acquaintances like via City of West Hollywood politics and kind of community involvement who are very deep into like, medicinal and recreational cannabis early on. Get in that game, meet everybody you can meet, find out everything you can find out, get into like, get involved with organizations because once things start happening, it becomes incredibly competitive. And I know people who have tried to get into this space and were too late to do it. So, to that end, you probably know much more about this than I do. But I just was going to say like, it's real and very competitive, and I just think like
I wish I had
it's also a little different. I don't know what you are, Valencia, but if you're a person of color getting into this industry, it's also very different. It's a very different experience
for the marijuana industry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
yeah. There was a really great episode of this show called Code Switch that talked about it, about how people of color try to legitimately get into the marijuana business, and they still have to be confronted with the same sort of like gates that people of color have to face in any industry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes sense. It's interesting. I feel like it's definitely been, I feel like anyone I know who's a weed boss in LA is always Latino, always.
Really?
Always. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. Even in Portland, I was sitting next to a guy on Christmas and I was like, what do you do? He's like, oh, a weed business. And I was like,
oh, there were some very pushy white people in West Hollywood. And finally, I'm like, I'm not fucking meeting with you.
I think it's very annoying that the Standard is going to be offering like boutique weed gummy. Like, it's just like, guys, like, but that's the business that we're set up for now. And I definitely can see it. Look, that is definite. There's a lot of like rich white people throwing money at this business now. People will throw money anywhere they think.
Well, it's incredibly lucrative too.
Yeah. Should I open a weed store?
No, it's too late. I'm serious. City of West Hollywood,
that a year ago.
Or like 3 years ago. I mean, it's nuts. I think ultimately it will be.
I think much like with tech stuff, the business is also in the accessories.
Yeah.
To that.
Yep.
Like that's where the real money might be.
It's interesting to me that Bethany Frankel's doing her Skinny Girl weed.
I feel like she's been working on that for a long time, and I haven't seen
Skinny
it.
Girl
because
weed?
she wants to create a weed that
It doesn't make you hungry?
Yeah.
Wait, are you serious?
Yeah. Like it's a munchie free weed. So it's like you can get stoned, but you don't get the munchies. And like I hate to point out to her, the only way you don't get the munchies is to fucking teach yourself not to get the munchies.
Yeah, it's mind over matter.
Yeah, like I don't get the munchies anymore. But like that was like 15 boxes of Cheez-Its later. Like
49 Loco Tacos later.
But yeah, you will like
17 mozzarella sticks later.
Yeah.
Does he want up? Yeah, he does. I'm afraid to pick him up.
Hi. Like, you've been very difficult this whole day. You forgot we do a podcast, huh? All right.
Valencia, I think you should quit your job.
Yeah.
You know what?
So
I worked for someone, she was one of the worst human beings I have ever encountered. I am not gilding the lily on that one. She was diabolical as fuck.
Yeah.
And there's no shortage of like ill things I would wish upon her. I'm just gonna say that. Lord, strike me down.
No, I love that feeling of just knowing.
Quit your fucking job.
I genuinely hope something terrible happens to you.
Quit your job. Honestly, there's a point where, especially if you have a little bit of financial leeway or runway, take the leap. Just know who you are. Check in with yourself. Know what you need. Like, if you're going to run your own business, you're going to have to be very disciplined, probably more than you even realize at this point. But totally support, your endeavors to do that for yourself, and applause for even being open to taking the risk, because that's like so not something I would do. And I don't mean that because I would never do that. Like, I just feel like I'm not really brave enough to do that. So do it.
Yeah. All right. Well, then, Valencia, thank you for calling and updating us. It's always nice to hear an update, and we'll be thinking of you, girl. Send us your edibles. We'll plug you. You guys, thank you for listening to Please Advise. That was a fun episode, Stacey. I'm so glad that you were my second guest back from our long little break that we had.
I know. And I just want to say, I'm going to give a little shout out that I love being on, and it is a privilege and an honor. And I also want to hark back a few months, because I had a very dark summer. For anybody who follows me on the gram, posts were infrequent and intensely emotional. But I saw Malls. We ended up hanging out in Austin for a night on the 4th, and Malls was the captain of my ship, and Ronnie was
there,
co-captain. And Please Advise Nationer Leah Shelton really delivered some,
AKA my matching twin on my tattoo. We got matching tattoos, you know that, right?
Yeah, and she really took care of me in a way that I deeply needed, and
she's the best.
Just acknowledged. And so I have, whether inadvertent or intentional, I have had incredible interactions with the Please Advise Nation as a result of my friendship with you. So,
well, you're the best. And also, Please Advise Nation is the best. I'm constantly surprised and pleased with how the general quality of human that exists in Please Advise Nation. And thank you to anyone who came to the bar in New York when I did my birthday thing. You guys are awesome. And for everything else, I'm just very, I'm grateful for that reason too. And Leah's the fucking best.
Yeah.
I mean, she's a rarity in a lot of ways, but Please Advise Nation in general is a really fantastic.
Yeah, they've been really great and kind and open and forgiving. And, and I just so deeply appreciate that, you guys are really open and you tune in to us.
And we're very I think that I'm going to give us a pat on the back and say that I think we make it easy to be nice to us, because we're very fucking honest about how the fucked up shit we've done or whatever. We definitely I think we put a lot more out there than a lot of podcasts do of ourselves,
Yeah.
I never pat myself or anyone else on the back, but I do think that the reason why we feel very close to you guys is that you give us back what we try to give you. And it's very easy to be nice to you. And I hope that, y'all aren't just suffering through us sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as a guest, it's easier to open up when people are going to be putting all their shit out on the table. So vulnerability is good.
Yeah, you guys rule. Thank you. 323-450-7408. Call the show anytime. We love your voicemail. Stacey, people can find you online at Cup of Jones.
At Cup of Jones. Really on the gram. On Twitter, I'm a passive. I'm just standing on the street waiting for someone to give me $1.
Oh my God.
But on the gram, I'm a little more of an active
Is
participant.
your gram public or private?
My gram is private, but I will tell you, I've had a lot of Please Advise Nationers hit me up, and I always basically just look to see that you are either following Malls or Christina or Please Advise or all of the above or Ed. And as long as that, I'll always, it's just something I try to be pretty private about. But who am I kidding? My boss follows me, and I posted a story yesterday about this casino in Vegas called the D, whatever.
Ooh.
So yeah, hit me up.
Did you get? No, never mind. I will say that my favorite, my favorite thing was that you sent me a picture of mozzarella sticks when I asked you for a selfie.
Yeah,
yes, I'm
a big mozz stick. I'm the mother of mozz sticks. It really.
I haven't been able to get into them lately, and I feel really bad about that because I love them. I loved them growing up. The last couple of times I've seen them, I'm like, good.
Well, my birthday party this year. This is my hope, which you will both be invited to. Is my goal is to have that only mozz sticks will be served, and that everybody has to bring a different dipping sauce.
Yeah.
Okay.
But are there better sauces for that than marinara? Are there just going to be 80 different marinaras?
Blue cheese dressing. That is going to sound so disgusting to some people, but really it is my favorite. And my favorite pizza place that I order my favorite mozz sticks from, they know that they should always send me double the blue cheese.
You do request. A cheese on cheese moment?
Oh, they know. Last time they brought the blue cheese over to my house after they forgot it. Yeah, I'm in. So hot
They're about to
sauce,
feel that sting.
chimichurri sauce, pesto. You like get creative. Get creative. I don't know. Whatever.
Oh my gosh.
I'm gonna really jam on this.
I'm
Guys,
gonna make an amazing marinara sauce.
I'm saying mozzarella sticks. It's only the beginning. It's gonna be so
funny.
good. I can't wait. So, but again, you'll both be invited. So I
I'm
look forward to
excited.
seeing what sauce you bring.
When is your birthday?
May 2nd.
I was
I'm
trying also
excited.
like doing the zodiac sign calculation, but I'm terrible.
Taurus.
Oh.
Pretty much all in. Little bit of an emotional cutter on the Cancer. I'm a rising Cancer. So.
That's what I was going to say. Actually, Taurus is like the ideal sign for a Cancer.
Yeah, Cancer's my rising sign, and I'm definitely a little bit of a masochist. But anyway,
So am I.
please advise Nation. It's been a
Privilege. You guys rule. Thank you. I'll talk to you soon. Oh, God.
He's just saying bye. He just wants you to. He's saying bye to you, please, Advise Nation.
Okay. Bye, guys. Wags, you're very good. Thank you for protecting me.